Nice to meet you, man. And appreciate you giving us your time too to deal with you. Word.
Yeah, man.
We were just talking about some of the music that you know that you're responsible for before you got here, but there might be some people that don't know you, so you know I'm more interested in. So we're all born in 1982, so really want to start off with basically like what was your introduction to hip hop? Like the first, you know, what got you started going and said to make you say like, yo, this is what I want to do.
Right. I mean, a big thing for me was growing up. I went to like middle school near Lawrence, Massachusetts, and like there was a lot of different kinds of music, and I just kind of took the hip hop around for granted. And then my parents got divorced, and I moved to New Hampshire, which is like a half an hour north, and like I realized I was taking it for granted because like I was like talking to kids about Tribe Called Quest and KRS-One, and people were like, "What?" So I ended up like kind of hanging out with a couple kids that did know hip hop, and we just were so into it that it was like, I want to get turntables, I want to do this, I want to do that. And my man Doug eventually was the first one to get turntables. And like Thanksgiving in 1995, I went to visit my aunt in Jersey, and I was just in a hold on one second. I knew she was gonna do that. I ended up going to Jersey for Thanksgiving and hearing Primo on the radio on Hot 97 DJing, and I was already such a fan, and by hearing him play like exclusives that weren't out yet and doing it live and scratching up his own joints, like it was like, nah, that's what I'm gonna do with my life. Like that day I decided.
So Primo was
an inspiration, was a big inspiration.
Yeah,
big
Primo,
role,
Funk Flex, Pete Rock, all of them, man.
Got you. Definitely. And what's the first hip hop joint you remember? Like the first hip hop song that kind of like spun you to into it.
I mean, before I took it serious, like with DJ and all that, definitely Scenario was a record that like hit me a certain way. I remember being at my cousin's house when I was like 5, 6 years old, and he was playing like, you know, I Love My Radio and I Need a Beat and all that. I think LL, Tribes, those were like the early. Of course, you know, I was a kid. I had MC Hammer and all that, but that didn't speak to me like on a hip hop level. That just like the catchy lyrics and shit. But like as far as like something that hit me, like Tribe Called Quest was early.
Got you. Yeah, Tribe did it for me too. Brand Nubian. I gotta say, Slick Rick definitely did it for me.
Yeah,
his music was super visual, so I gravitated towards it as a kid, and you know, I listened to a lot of your music, and right, as a producer, sometimes it feels like I'm like you're listening to it unknowingly, right? So like I might be listening to Gran Turismo, and might be focusing on that it's a Currency album, but it's just as much your album as it is Currency. So, you know, how does that come about when you do these kind of albums with all of these artists? You know, because you have a lot of those collaborative. You know,
I think cats like me and Alchemist and maybe 1 or 2 other people changed the game with that, because back in the day, like Primo would do J. Rule's whole album. No one would really call it a DJ Premier album, or he'd do Group Home or whatever. These albums are a little bit different. I mean, Gangstar albums is Primo, but it was always just Gangstar, you know what I mean? Like that was the group. With this, it's like almost like I'm in a group with a whole bunch of different people, you know. Obviously, the longest one going is me and Term is 1982. But, you know, with an album like Currency, it's like we come together and put the album out together and, like, make it a double artist thing, you know. And people weren't really doing that back in the day. Alchemist was one of the first people to do that, too.
And do you separate, do you have, like, separate sounds? Like, do you have something like, oh, this is for Term, or this is for this artist? Like, do you make things and you save it and stash it for the artist that you see it for?
A lot of times, like I know Joey's here pretty good. So anytime I work with Joey, I know what to play him. 2 Chainz. I mean, the Term will get on. He'll body whatever I play him. Like he's ready to rock. But it's like certain artists, like with the Currency thing, there was definitely beats that I wouldn't have played other people that I played him that, you know, just worked out.
Yeah, man. And your beats have a very deep, distinct sound. It's noticeable that it doesn't need no drop or none of that fancy shit. But you know what I mean? It comes across real legit. So
Thanks,
much respect on that. You know what I mean? I love the sound and your production is on point. So that goes.
This new album I got coming, the new album kind of got like a specific sound to it too. That you can still tell it's me, but it's like a new style I've been messing with. I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's like different sounding drums, and I'm excited for people to hear it. It's like a new sound for me, but it's still, you can tell it's me, but it's just different.
Yeah, man. Them bass, like when there's a bass line like songs like Forever, that bass line is just funky. You know what I'm saying? I could just drive to that joint and just chill. You know what I mean?
Good luck.
So yeah. And now, what about? How do you feel about some of these underrated artists? Because there's people like Sean Price that I personally love that go unnoticed by those that don't by the popular.
Yeah, but see, hip hop's not supposed to be for everybody, bro. Like the people that are into hip hop know it. All of them huge fans of Sean Price. Like when Sean died, like Eminem and Jay-Z donated to the family. Like the top dogs respect Sean Price, and that's all he ever cared about. That's all I care about. I don't want, God forbid, knock on wood, anything happens to me, I don't want a bunch of people coming out of the woodworks like, yo, I'm a bit like we saw it with Jay Dilla when Jay Dilla passed away, and I'm not mad at it because he ended up getting his shine because Jay Dilla wasn't a DJ. He wasn't like an artist as far as like, you didn't go on, iTunes and see like him as an artist. He was a stay in the studio all day making beats type dude. He didn't even go on tour that much. So that was the only good thing that came out of that wave that came when he passed away. It's like all of a sudden you got all these kids wearing JD Changed My Life t-shirts that didn't know who he was. So that worked out for him. But there's certain people that like, it's hard to like. I like what Jay just said on his album, man. Jay was like, when I pass, don't start acting like we were friends and all that. Like the real fans and the real supporters know what it is, and that's all that ever mattered to me. And that's what mattered to Sean. Like Sean was the coolest dude on the planet.
Yeah, man. I just I really love Sean Price as an artist. So it's definitely good to see him get some of those flowers. Even though whether he was here or not for him, I appreciated it. And you also work with like OG like Freddie Fox too, man. Like that, I sort of feel like that's sort of like the OG version of Sean P. And the same ref, like you work with a lot of like real, underrated cats. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as like I grow up with, I work with a lot of the cats I grew up listening to, and then I idolized, and then I also tried to hold that bar and work with the new cats that were bringing that I feel like a lot of the OGs want. I'm not, I'm in the middle. I'm not a young kid, but I'm not 50 years old either. So I try to put on through all these years. I was the first one to work with Mac Miller, the first one to work with Joey, first one to work with Action. Like I try to bring that new generation of that vibe out. Now YB and Cordae, Westside Gun and Conway, that list goes on and on.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention, I was gonna piggyback on what Doe said as far as Sean Price, but like we see it now with Mac Miller, right? Like everybody in the world like loves him now, and they going back and they listening to his music. But you had an early experience with him. Can you speak about a little bit how he was as a person, just like his whole approach to the music game?
He was just such a fan of music and hip hop, and like he was bugged out when he came. Like he was nervous when he came up to the radio show. It was his first time in New York City, the first time on the radio, and he came up to the show, and I was like, we got this young kid here. It was his 18th birthday. I'm like, so what's your plans after high school? And he's like, bro, this is what I'm doing. And I'm like, I've heard that before, bro. But I was like, you don't have no like side plan or plan B? He's like, nah, man, watch what I'm about to do. I'm like, all right. And then he rapped, and I was like, all right, cool. The whole reason I connected with Mac because Rostrum Records, my man Artie used to work there, and they tried to get me to work with Wiz Khalifa early, and I wasn't really feeling him. Like I wasn't. They were like, nah, Wiz is signing to Warner. He wants to work. And I was like, nah, bro. I was like, if he wants to buy some beats, it's cool. And they're like, nah, he ain't going to buy no beats right now, bro. He's about to blow up. I was like, cool. And then fast forward a year later, he had that cushion OJ. And I was like, damn, like I really fucked with you. So I was like, I kind of messed up with Wiz because I didn't see the potential there off of what I was hearing at the time. So anyway, fast forward, Artie's like, yo, don't let what happened with Wiz happen again with this kid Mac. And I checked out one of his videos. And I was like, bring him up to the show, man. So he came up. And then, like, the next day, he's like, yo, I'll drive right back. He's like, I got to go home for my birthday party. I'll drive right back to New York. It's a 6-hour drive to Pittsburgh. He's like, I'll come right back. And he came right back, and we started working immediately. And then, you know, we just sit there and talk and kick it. And the whole time I was bugged out because I had an 18-year-old in my crib. You know, at the time I was exactly 10 years older than him. So I was 28 with an 18-year-old, you know, drinking beers and all this shit. And it was like kind of bugged out. But he, you know, he was just such a student of the game. And he was telling me old beats I had and songs that I didn't remember. Like he was really up on the shit. So out of nowhere one day he was like, yo, you think Term would come through and do a joint? I'm like, yeah, what do you mean? Of course. And I called Term, and Term's like, I never heard of dude. So I was like, trust me, bro. I was like, get in your car and drive to New York right now. He drove from Boston to New York, and they did 82-92 and paid in full in one night. I think Term got there like 3 a.m. And we knocked that out, and then the rest is history. Me and Mac have like 10 joints together, but I watched him like just go through so many different phases, and at the end it was just like, I don't know, it's a really whack way to end it.
Yeah, no, that's it. I think, you know, it's a sad ending, but you know, we try to like look upon all like the gifts he left.
Yeah, and I look at it like the amount of people in the world he touched, and like,
yeah,
you know, I'm thankful for the experience of meeting him and being, you know, so close, and just like me and Mac and Joey did Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland with Stevie Wonder, man. Like we had so many crazy memories. There's actually footage on my YouTube. It's like kind of super slept on. The audio's not all that, but you can hear it. It's Mac and Joey, and Mac got a verse on that song Carry On I got with Joey and Freddie Gibbs. Mac's rapping on that shit with Joey. And like that was at the sound check that night. And it's just the moment I uploaded off my phone or whatever at the time. I think it was 2014, 2015. And I, like, when Mac passed, I went back and just looked through clips, and I was like, damn, like some of the moments were just, not that any of us took it for granted. Like I remember after the show, just like watching Stevie Wonder perform, like, yo, what the fuck? I'm in Switzerland with like my 2 little bros watching the shit go down. We just killed it. Like it was just moments like that, you know, are priceless. And another thing, like the Sean Price, Mac Miller video, we shot that in Minneapolis. And like, if you don't, I would never think in a million years both of them be gone now. It's bugged out.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. You know, you never know you making these crazy moments when you in them.
Yeah, man.
It's you gonna say something, though? I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say that, you know, when you in that moment, doing that and like living in that moment, you know, it's wild to see how, you know, how life turns out down the line. You know what I mean? So I feel your pain on that, man. I feel the pain and the beauty of it, because I'm definitely gonna look up that footage after.
Yeah, I'll send it to you guys too. It's easy to find.
Yeah, you know, just so you like have an idea, like what this podcast is all about. The Homage podcast. We just want to shed light and show love and pay respect to people that we feel really deserve to be, you know, applauded. You know what I'm saying? And we don't want to wait until there's some special reason and all those kind of things. Like, you know, so I know,
Absolutely.
you know, I know you dumb cool in real life. You know what I mean? I know what you contributed to the game. You know, you fuck with us on the brand level, like heavy. Always appreciated that. That's love. You know what I mean? So that's where we're at, just so you have an idea. But like, I was thinking about how you mentioned the song Carry On, and it made me think like, damn, Mac was 18. How old was Joey when you first started talking to him? Like, in you know, around music?
17, like barely 17. I think I met him like a month after his 17th birthday. And then I remember his 18th birthday. Yeah, I think we met a month after his 17th birthday, because by the time his 18th birthday, I DJ'd his party and all that. And that was like right before we went on tour. So like I met Joey through Johnny Shipes, and Shipes had him come over so I could do some scratches for him. And he was like, all right, word, man, good looking. I'm like, you're not leaving without recording. He didn't even know I had beats on deck. I was like, nah, let's knock something out. And the first song we hello?
No, we go here.
My bad. The first song that we did was it's called Don't Front off 1999. And then after that he kept coming
first
through.
song y'all ever did was on that project?
Yeah, the tape came out a week later. So you know what? It was like it had to be like April, May, because the tape came out I think in June. So maybe not a week, probably a month later. But I remember it was like it was the 9th inning on that. So I met him right before 1999 came out, because I remember I didn't even mix the song. I did a rough mix, and then all of a sudden I go online, and then the mixtape was out.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, damn, you got some crazy experiences, because I'm assuming Steve's was around at that point, right? What you got, like, when he was there?
He was there every day.
Wow.
So like the first night he came through, he actually did a verse for my man Easy Money too, which is on his album, The Motive of Nearly Everybody, Yo. But so that night he did the verse, and then the second time he came through, Easy was there again, and we actually shot a video with Steve's. It was with a bunch of people, and like by the time Easy put the record out, Joey was like, "We don't want the video to come out because like it was just it was Steve's had passed, and it was just like real weird." But we have the video, like we have an unreleased video with Joey and Steezer and all that. It's crazy. But anyway, the second time he came through, me and Steez and Joey and CJ did Like Water and 47 Interlude. And then the third time we did Don't Front. And then I don't remember after that. Me and Joey just ended up doing 1 million records after that.
That's crazy, man. There's so many pockets of different types of artists that you've been able to work with at different points, especially in the beginning too. Like you can't beat that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I take pride in that. Like, my track record as far as like some of the artists I've broken, like it's the who's who of hip hop in the last like 15 years.
Definitely.
The whole first
a track record of that.
When Joey ended up doing Before the Money, his first like actual album, we did that whole album. I don't know if it's gonna show. I don't know how does Zoom work.
Well, you want to show your screen?
I'll just do it like this. This is my daughter's room. This was where the computer was. This is where like the speakers. This was all records, and then her closet was. This was the mic booth.
Gotcha.
And that was while her mother was pregnant with her. Her mother was really sick. She was in the hospital a lot and staying at her parents. So we were in here finishing Action's Mr. Wonderful album. Yeah. Joey's first album. I did Detroit versus Everybody here. Like all these records were getting done in such a short amount of time. I didn't even have the crib for a year when my daughter was born. So I was only in this room making music for like probably 10 months. And like we had a couple #1 records out of it. It's crazy. Yeah. Ever since then we've been at the studio, and before that I lived in Bushwick. But this room right here is magical.
Man, she really born into this.
Yeah, man, that's the boss.
You have to make a book for her or something, you know?
Yeah, I mean the studio is Harley Hall's House of Hits, so like everything that comes out, her name's in every album.
That's amazing.
Now, you know what's wild about Mr. Wonderful is that when that album dropped, I think that was like 2014. I was in
2015.
2015, like around that time. I had to go to rehab for my spine. I had to learn how to walk all over again. Yeah. So when that came out, I absorbed that album for like a month straight, and that's probably one of my favorite releases from. I mean, like what it meant to me, because it definitely got me through some shit. You know what I'm saying? Because the production and mixed with Action's lyrical, because he's a funny motherfucker. So lyrically, he throws in a little bit of everything, and I'm gonna tell you, I absorbed that album, and it definitely helped me. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I was on that, and the Kendrick album came out around the same time, I think. Yeah. So
there's a dope story about the Action album that no one really knows. The first song on the album, Brand New Car.
Yeah.
That's a Billy Joel sample, but it's not a sample. We were in London, and I was on tour with Joey. Action happened to be there working with Mark Ronson. And I went to Mark Ronson's studio where like Amy Winehouse and Adele worked and all that, like everybody, like ill studio. And we were just going through shit, and Action's like, I want to make Zanzibar by Billy Joel. And I like kind of laughed at it and shook it off. Because like even Action knew he wasn't clearing that. And all of a sudden Mark's like, oh yeah, my dad's friends with him. Like he's a friend of the family. And we're like, what? He's like, I can make that happen. So he's like, here, do the drums. And I sat there and I did the drums and the 808s and the bass and shit. And Mark went in the other room and just started playing the piano and guitar exactly like it sounds like the sample. Mark Ronson's just a monster, man. He did all that, and they cleared it and it came out. And then when it came out, I don't really get credited on the inside of the album. It says like, I think it says additional drums or something produced by me, and I got heated about that. And Mark's a stand-up dude because he hit me the day the album came out. The second song on the album I produced, and I got credit and all that. But the first song on the album, I was heated about the credit because I guess the label figured since it was recorded at Mark's or whatever that he produced the song. But it had my name in there. It was just funky because like I produced that record with Mark. Like it should have been, whatever. It's all good, but it was just a dope. That was one of those experiences. And actually, that same night we went to see Chance the Rapper in London the same night, and that was my first time seeing Chance live. He's another one, like he'd never been on the radio. He came to my show twice before he even got half a break, and that was like one of those experiences too. That like I've been to London 100 times, so that was one of the best. Because me and Joey had a show out there that weekend. Chance had the show, and then being in the studio. I've known Mark Ronson for like 20 years, but I never worked in the studio with him, and you already know.
Yeah,
I just recently started going to the UK within the last couple of years, and I love the vibes out there. So
I can't wait to. That's like the first place I'm going when this shit's over.
Me too. I'm dying to go back to Amsterdam and London and all of that. That's the first thing I'm doing when all this shit is over.
Yeah, that's definitely on my list. Nah, but that's dope though, man. That Billy Joel clearance. Now you in a small a group of people.
Yeah, man. That was a great. 2015 was definitely the best year of my life. Like my kid was born. The Joey album, the Action album, just the way things. We did like literally up to the day my daughter was born. I was doing shows every day of the year. It was crazy.
That's crazy. That's dope. But I know I did have to slow down a lot when she came though.
Well, not at first. Like I was home for a little while, and then I was still touring with Joey for another 2 years. But it was like I was coming home every day I had off. Like I literally would be in Amsterdam, and I'd get on a flight and come home for 2 days and then go back. Like I was coming home a lot, but I still toured up for the next 2 years. And then one day I just had the conversation. I was like, yo, I think it was when I signed to Rock Nation. I was like, I can't stay out there like running around doing, basically doing other people's shows. Like Joey's my brother. I still produce all his music. His new album's about to come out. I got a bunch of shit on there. But it's like, I can't be out there being, the tour DJ when I go home, I get 10 times more money for doing my own shows. And it's like, I want to be home with my kid. Like, so basically, if I'm going to leave, it got to be worth it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. At least you were able to build up that strong network.
You paid your dues, man.
Yeah. I toured straight for shit. I went on my first world tour with Q-Tip in 2009. And, 2000, I did a good, actually, that's not true. I did about 9 years straight, and I'm talking like 200 gigs a year, like nonstop for a good 9 years. And it was like, I'm over it. Like, I love all the places I've been, but it's like, now it's like, I'll go to LA, jump on that flight, come right back. I go to Miami, go to London. But as far as like, if I go to Japan now, my kid's been to Japan twice. She's been to Hawaii 3 times. Like,
wow.
That's what's up.
I try to bring her with me if I'm going on a trip like that.
But hold up, that was a light flex though, like about Q-Tip. You can't just gloss over that. So
nah, Tip changed my life.
Yeah, because not a lot of people got to work with him.
Yeah, nah, he's definitely like kind of a man of mystery. And then I was out in Hawaii with them too. Like Tip wasn't even the one that invited me. I was with Nas in Hawaii, and I ended up going and working on Dark Twisted Fantasy with Kanye. When I landed out there, I was in Central Booking. I missed my flight. Booked the first flight out, got to Hawaii. Consequence had texted me and be like, yo, I heard you out here with Nas, but I had just arrived, like literally a day and a half late for the show. And he was like, yo, we all at Ye's house, come over. And I'm like, it's like 9 in the morning. I'm like, I just got off a fucking 13-hour flight. He's like, nah, come over here. So I just went over there to this like dead end road, and I had to like figure out what house it was. And I walk in and it's cute. I mean, Tip was already, that's my brother, but it was Tip, Common, the RZA, No ID, Pusha T. Like it was, who else? I'm forgetting people. It was just out of control. It was like out of Chappelle's show, bro. It was like a skit.
You should have got a picture. You know, that'd have been a moment.
That trip, it was like, those are the like infamous, during that whole session, like that whole album, you couldn't even tweet from the studio. You couldn't put a picture. Like, those are the times that I wish I had like something documented. The only thing I have is like the footage of me and Nas performing, but that had nothing to do with the studio sessions. Like I brought Nas over there.
What record did you work on that album, on Dark Twisted Fantasy?
I did drums on Lost in the World and on Hell of a Life, and like,
wow,
it was a major issue that I didn't get credited at all. And me and Kanye we had a weird little time, and now it's like, we saw each other in 2016, and then we talked for a little while after that, and then he went haywire after he turned into Donald Trump.
Okay, Lost in the World. I had the Gil Scott-Heron sample playing over it.
Mm-hmm.
Word.
I just did like the breakdown part.
And you worked with Nas as well?
Yeah, no, I've been working. I'm signing Nas now, but I've been working with Nas for years. Like the song I got on Lost Tapes 2 that came out last year, we did that in 2011.
Wow.
And then, like I said, I was just DJing in Hawaii. I've DJed for him all over the place. But me and Nas have been working forever. So now on my new album coming out, it's supposed to be June, but this whole thing happened. So I would say it's going to come out in July, August now. He's executive producer with Mass Appeal, and I'm excited for that. It's Mass Appeal show off Rock Nation.
So that's dope that you got on one end you signed to Rock Nation, and on the other end you got Mass Appeal. So like,
Rock Nation's management.
You know, you got connection to the lifelong argument in New York, of course. You know, you already know what that is. You know what I'm saying? Nas, Jay-Z, everybody.
I mean, if you want to, you can take it a step further. Technically, I'm signing to Nas, Jay, and
Eminem
right now.
And Eminem.
So even there, you signed to Nas, Jay, and them. So you know, we don't even have to ask you who's your top three. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, Black Thought's up there too for me, but that's like the last 10 years. I always loved Black Thought, but like the last like 8 years, he's been like number one for a long time for me.
Definitely, I love Black Thought. I'm a big fan of his. You know,
I'm waiting for you to put all three of them on a record together on one of your songs.
It was something being worked on, and then M put that record out on the album with well, all four of them. You said all three. You got to be all four. Jay, Nas, and
that would be
Black
amazing.
Thought.
Yeah.
That would be
amazing. That'd be crazy.
Trust me. I'm working on a couple things right now that are going to be. The first single off my album is going to be ridiculous. I'm excited to announce that, but I'm just waiting to finish the song.
And that's what's up, man. We looking forward to that for real.
So I see that you keeping busy in this pandemic, nonsense world we living in. You got a lot of DJ sets.
It's hard.
Killing them sets.
Because I'm a studio rat. Like, I live in the studio. And this whole time, in the last month and a half, I've been in the studio like 4 times. But I've been like producing in my crib, but it's not the same. So tonight I'm going there. I'm going there in like a couple minutes. And I'm going to be there late tonight. I got to mix. I'm mixing a new project for Smoke. There's a whole bunch of shit on my to-do list that I just haven't been able to get done from home.
Gotcha.
It's one thing to make a beat on the kitchen table on your headphones, but you can't mix records like at your crib without, the right equipment and shit.
Yeah, gotta soak up the energy.
You need the vibe, yeah.
You need the sound system too. You don't want to be just mixing.
But that's listen, man. Not a lot of people have the history that you have, and that's why we had to, have this conversation with you and let people know that you really been out here for a minute, and you really one of them guys behind the scenes driving the true sound force of hip hop. I don't want to sound like an ageist, you know what I'm saying?
No,
like we old good. And shit, but
I just call it traditional hip hop, man. They done turned the word hip hop into some other shit. And like, I used to get mad and fight for it. Now I'm just like, I'm gonna do what I do, but like, come on, man. We know what hip hop is and what it's not. Like, a lot of shit they label hip hop. I mean, for instance, how the fuck does Post Malone win hip hop fucking awards? That always baffled me. I like Post Malone.
That shit.
I like Post Malone, but it ain't hip hop. Like, it's literally not hip hop.
I have this argument all the time. I think Post is extremely talented. He makes dope
pop
songs,
music.
but it's not exactly. It's pop music. He's not a hip hop true artist. Like, but you know, it is. That's
it's not hip hop at all.
decided.
There's no. The only thing about hip hop is like once in a while he is a rapper, but that's.
Yeah.
And that's even going to another limit. Like originally people would be like, oh, this guy, he's not hip hop. Like that's a whole different argument, rap music and hip hop and all that. But now they're literally throwing the hip hop award on things that ain't even rap music. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Nah, but you keeping the
different
sound
times.
alive, man.
Definitely different times.
But yeah, man.
Give me a big year, man. When do you expect this to come out?
From the pandemic?
I'm talking about this podcast.
Oh, this podcast? Yeah, I don't play it, man. I'm going to put this out like ASAP, unless you want me to hold it.
No, it's all good. Friday, I got a couple of dope records coming out Friday, but
so we'll wait.
Next Friday, obviously.
I'll wait.
Yeah, I mean, we could.
You can put it out like right before Friday. It's all good, whatever.
Definitely. We'll do that.
Yeah,
about to drop this. This is a big deal for me. I'm about to drop. This is just a sample. But I did the Celtic Green Rock Nation hat. That's coming out with my album. So, and they got the show off logo on it and all that. On the inside, like where the where like the black lines are.
Yep.
Yeah.
All the area codes that I lived are gonna be there. Like it's gonna be dope.
Now, what's the name of the album?
The Balancing Act.
The Balancing Act. And what's the science behind that? Behind the title?
I mean, it's crazy because originally it was just, the Balancing Act speaks of so much. It speaks on being a dad and doing this hip hop shit and like the artistry and then your personal life. But now it's like with the pandemic and all that, man, the Balancing Act is something a lot of people are going to relate with because there's a lot of parents that have to be teachers now. There's a whole lot of people that were underappreciated, like postmen and postwomen and like grocery store workers that are like balancing their lives now. And like this whole last couple months has been a balancing act for everybody. So I think we're gonna do a real dope campaign where we honor some of those just local heroes.
That's good, man. That's dope. That's dope. It's dope that when to make music that make art with substance that matters. From the times as opposed to like dropping some balling Rolex shit, you know what I'm saying? Like during these times,
we still do that. We still do that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's time. There's time for that. It's time for everything.
It's time for everything, man. I can't wait for this shit to be over.
Yeah, with the clothing brand, we just dropped these Statue of Liberty shirts where we donated a big portion of that to all the local essential people in our neighborhood, like all the FedEx workers, all the UPS workers. We bought them all food. We paid for a whole bunch of their things, and then we took the rest of the money and we gave it to like hospitals, so all those essential workers. So, we all trying to do our part, but for you to name your album that and it be so relevant, that's even cooler, man. Like, cause that gives you like lifelong ability to make a change. You know what I'm saying? Make a
Bro, the way this year started was so incredible. Like the first 29 days, I think, or 28 days of the month, everything was just coming together so fast, and like Grammy weekend was amazing and all this shit. And then Sunday, like the day after the Rock Nation brunch, I woke up to a million texts and Kobe Bryant had died. And it was like, I feel like the year, ever since that moment, the year has just been like, rest in peace to Kobe and all the people involved. But it was like that moment, like the rest of the year has been shit. Like it's like bad news after bad news. It's crazy.
Yeah, today is Gigi's birthday, his daughter's birthday.
Yeah, man. It makes me sick even thinking about it.
She would have been 14 today, man. And it's crazy because you think of can it get any worse? You know what I mean? Like and then shit started just spinning out of control.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of people more. It's like, and you know what? It's crazy because there's so many people that will never hear their stories that passed away this year. I mean, that's in life in general. It's just it was at an alarming rate this year.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, man. And speaking into the balance, with the balancing act, I think a lot, my theory is a lot of it has a lot to do with, mental. Everyone's mental. You got to stay positive during these times. So
it's crazy because
making that music, that's going to help.
It seems like mental health was like a theme for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And during this whole pandemic, I haven't heard much about it at all, which is interesting because people are definitely losing their fucking minds. People that had it all together were losing their minds. So it's like, it's gonna be interesting seeing how this shit unravels, man. I'm just very It's definitely a year of gratitude just to be able to. Now, I know some people that are going through it that are fucked up in the game right now, and I'm just thankful for to be in a position. You know, I definitely worked for it, but it's like this shit is gonna really change the world, man, and it's gonna be an effect that's gonna be years to figure out.
Yeah, even staying on that subject, like what will that look like going forward for, like, you know, our usual way of enjoying music? You know what I'm saying? Like going to places where, you know, like where you would be able to DJ a set and everybody be chilling, or, you know, parties or concerts. Like what is your take on what that's gonna look like going forward?
When they open clubs back up, there's definitely gonna be like the capacities are gonna be cut into quarters, probably like a club that used to put 200, 300 people is probably gonna only like be able to have like 40, 50 people in it now. I don't know how that's definitely gonna affect the clientele. It's gonna affect a lot of shit. I hope we see a lot more outdoor events this summer, because people are gonna be outside. Like, I'd say by at least mid-June, like I'd hope to see some outdoor events where people can actually enjoy each other and like not be too reckless. I don't know. A lot of I think we're gonna have to deal with whatever the virus is, no matter what. Like, it was something that's gonna be here. It's just like I don't know. I really can't call it at this point. Like, are you gonna see people wearing masks for years to come? It's funny because I used to go to China and like Japan and all these places and be like, why do they wear these masks all the time? And now it's like that shit is overload.
Yeah, it's about to be a staple in New York.
New York City,
I don't see it going away. Yeah, I don't see it going away after this. I feel it's gonna be the same. People gonna be wearing those masks out here.
People gonna be wearing Gucci fucking mask. Watch.
Or Louis masks, all type of masks.
We got a Sense mask.
Yeah, you got it. Let me get one.
Yeah, I got you. We got all we ask is trust mask.
Dope. I need that.
And we got another one dropping too with the animal print, like the zebra and the cement print. Yeah, I'm gonna get you that one. That one's fire. It stand out and it fits better too. You know. But yeah, man. Listen, I mean, the balancing act. That name is makes all the sense in the world, because it brought everybody back to the same plateau. Like, everybody's on the same level. I don't care if you was rich. I don't care if you was, you know, in this area, that area. Everybody had to conform to the situation. People reacting differently, but we all living in the same, you know, balance right now.
Common threat.
You know what's bugged out is I see people. I know every story is different, but I've seen a lot of people online like being like, "Oh, rich people ain't in it the same because they got, you know, a yacht or a big yard or whatever." And it's like, not for nothing, a lot of the people with money I know in New York City are like cramped up in their apartments with nowhere to go. And it's like, I know New York's a different place, but like, bro, I pay 5 times what some of my friends pay for rent here than some of my friends that own houses pay. And now I'm stuck in the house with I ain't got nowhere to bring my kid to play outside with. Like, it's crazy. And then they're all chilling. And it's like, you know, everybody got a different situation. But, you know, you got to just appreciate you got to appreciate life, man. This shit is very fragile.
Definitely.
That's a fact, man. That's why, you know, this kind of thing is like something we had to do, you know, because we on some storytelling stuff, you know, we doing a bunch of documentaries and everything like that. But we were like, look, this is a perfect time for us to talk with people about the journey and inspire people and try to keep, you know, hip hop and the culture and all of these fans somewhat positive in these moments, you know, because you could. This might be your part of not yours, but like, you know, their part of their story. And, oh, we lived through the pandemic and I had to make beats and I had to record in this, you know, and I had to do that. So, you know, it's
definitely. I'm pretty sure there's someone right now that's gonna come out of this, you know, with some heat. You know what I mean? They've been working through this. Like, yo, you know.
I mean, shit, you got enough time. You gotta learn something.
Word.
But I wanted to touch on something real quick. I know you got to run soon, but like, somebody that's near and dear, like a crew that's near and dear to us, literally growing up, you know, we grew up on the same block as Kiss and Chic, and I got to know Styles really well later. Like, what was your take on the Locks, and then you ended up working with them? I know you was fans of them at first, right?
Saying what?
You was fans of the Locks at first before you started working with them.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's family, man. I got a record on the new album coming out. That's like, you know, that's the holy grail of hip hop to me. Like the Locks were heavy in my life from when I started DJing and all that. Not when I started. I'd say the first record that I got was I think it was If You Think I'm Jiggy, but I was playing that. At the under 21 clubs, and then I remember when they got on the Funk Flex tape, Volume 2. I was like, "Who are these dudes?" And I started doing my Anyway, fast forward, and you know, Styles P is one of the first big names I worked with, Chic, and then later Jada. You know, Jada gave me my first big single as an artist when he did the record with MOP for The City. That was the single off my album. Hot 97 played that shit 1,200 times in like 2 months. So like that, working with him with that was like, man, and Jada was the biggest rapper in New York at that time. Like literally, it was when he just signed to Rockefeller and all that. Like it's always been a blessing. But so now I'm gonna give y'all the exclusive. Me and Jada can just doing an album, so that's exclusive for y'all.
Okay.
That's coming.
That's music. That's music to our ears, because that's our family right there. And I'm extremely excited about this last project he dropped. You know, Ignatius. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to more of it, especially working with you. You know,
me and Kiss got the same manager too, so it's funny. I was on like a Rock Nation group text the other day, and I was like, "Yeah, me and Kiss starting the album." And all of a sudden, Brian's calling me all heated, like, "How the fuck I don't know about this?" I'm like, "Don't worry about it." But me and Kiss had huh?
No, go ahead.
Nah, me and Kiss already got like a crazy catalog. If you go through it, like all the joints we've done together have been bananas. The shit with Freddie Gibbs, 2 joints with Currency, shit with MOP. Me and Kiss got a bunch, but the shit we're about to work on, it's like we have a secret plan for it. So I'm excited.
That's fire, man.